Hello grinders, in this video I'm going to show you how you can make your own triadic brute trophy mount using some advanced building techniques. This way of building can be incredibly tedious and you may end up redoing it a few times to get the result you're looking for. So first, a disclaimer.
This building technique may cause severe migraines, increased blood pressure, and random fits of anger. GrindGeek is not responsible for any smashed keyboards or controllers thrown at televisions. Please build responsibly.
With that out of the way, you first need to decide where you want to place your trophies. You can mount them directly on the ground, or you can do something similar to what I did with some of the Lockheed's lighthouse parts as the base. For this tutorial, I'll build them on my llama bunker. I'll add a few foundation pieces over the edge to give myself some room to work. To start, we need to flip the first trophy upside down. To do this, I'll set a pillar on top of llama's head, then select any piece of flooring and attach it to the top of the pillar so it overhangs. Find the small thruster in the Toys menu and attach it to the bottom of the flooring. We can use this thruster to flip things upside down. Select the pillar again and position the cursor on the very edge of the thruster closest to the flooring. Once the pillar is upside down, nudge it away from the flooring and snap it to the base. The brute trophies are very tall, so snap a second pillar on top of the first one and then select the brute trophy you want to be on the bottom. Place the cursor on the pillar and then nudge the trophy away from the pillar so they're not touching. Next, slide the cursor up or down the pillar until the horns of the trophy are just touching the ground and it turns green. You may need to do this a couple times to get it centered where you want it. I'll place a piece of flooring on the bottom side of the brute trophy. For some reason, you're not able to snap anything to the bottom of the trophy, and the flooring will be highlighted red and say it needs a supporting piece. So I'll use the upside down pillar as an anchor. Aim your crosshair on the bottom of the trophy so it's the correct height, and then nudge the flooring over until it touches the upside down pillar and is just touching the edge of the trophy bottom. Snap it in place. Take a piece of 8x8 flooring and snap it to the first piece of flooring so it's directly on top of the brute trophy. Because the trophy is not actually connected to the floor, you'll need to destroy it and then rebuild it while aiming off the 8x8 flooring. Once complete, you can go ahead and destroy the upside down pillar as it'll just be in the way. We need to set up a template to get the correct slope for the other two angled trophies. I'll use a stack of 3 small foundation blocks to set up one quarter of the template, and then set another set of 3 small foundation blocks, 5 studs to the side. Since the base of a trophy is 8 studs wide, each side trophy can only have half the space, or 4 studs. The 5th stud is to allow for the width of the flooring piece we'll use to set the angle. I'll then duplicate the foundations away from the trophy by 4 spaces, so the setup looks like this. Select a pillar and set it between the right 2 sets of foundations so it has a 1 stud overlap. Select a piece of 4x8 flooring and snap it directly to the center of the pillar, just above the foundations. Then snap a second piece of flooring to the first one so they create an 8x8 piece of flooring. You need to use 2 pieces of flooring to make it a dynamic foundation, or it'll crumble when we smash the pillar, which is what we'll do next. If done correctly, the flooring will drop down on top of 2 foundations and it'll be just touching the other 2. Use some stairs to get on top, and then very gently walk onto the edge of the flooring until it drops down vertically between the foundations. Attach a piece of 16x2 flooring vertically to the center of the dynamic plate. Select a pillar and attach it to the bottom side of the flooring near the top. This will cause gravity to tip it over to the correct angle for the next trophy. You may need to add a second pillar if there's insufficient weight. Attach a pillar on the opposite side about midway up the flooring. This will be used to aim from when we set the left trophy base plate. Use the stairs and some flooring to get your character in a position where you have a good view of the bottom of the trophy. Select the 8x8 flooring again. With the crosshair on the pillar, nudge over, up, or down while moving the crosshair on the pillar until you get them lined up and the flooring highlights green, and snap it in place. Once you have the first angled piece in place, it's a good idea to check that it's only taking up half the space. You can do this by using a pillar on the bottom flooring and nudging it over halfway, which is 4 spaces. If it's still green, or if it's just barely colliding with the angled flooring, you should be alright. But if it's overhanging too much, there won't be enough room for the next piece, so you'll need to redo it. For the third base plate, destroy all the dynamic parts, but leave the 4 foundation stacks from the template so we can reuse them for the final base plate. Repeat the same steps as you did on the first side, but start with the sacrificial pillar on the opposite side. Remember, when you're making the dynamic floor, Use 2 pieces of 4x8 flooring so it doesn't crumble when you destroy the pillar. Once the pillar is gone and the dynamic floor drops down, gently walk onto the edge so it drops down vertically between the foundation towers. Extend up with the 16x2 flooring and use 1 or 2 pillars on the bottom to tip it over. Add another pillar midway up the opposite side for aiming off. Head back up so you have a good view of the trophy bottom. Select the 8x8 flooring. Aim and nudge until you get the piece lined up where you want it and snap it in place. When you're happy with your triangle shape, or you and your OCD have come to terms with the way it looks, you can add the other 2 trophies. Select the second and then the third trophies, line them up so they sit squarely on the base plates and face the same direction, and snap them in place. I found that occasionally one of the trophies would not turn green while aiming at the 8x8 flooring, but if I slide my cursor closer to the edge, it would eventually find the sweet spot and turn green. Hopefully everything worked out and has formed a nice triangle and you're not broken and crying on the floor, but there's a very good chance you had to try a few times. I know I did. You may end up with some small misalignments or gaps, but you probably won't notice them from a short distance away. I've made this process look pretty easy with editing cuts and piecing together different footage. I can assure you that it took many attempts to get the triangle aligned, and there were several misaligned pieces or large gaps between them. The entire process can be frustrating, but here are some tips that may help you out. If the angled base plates aren't lining up front to back, you can select the half-size pillar from the walls menu and attach one to each side of the dynamic plate so that they're directly in the middle and not touching any of the foundations. Carefully push the entire rig up against one side of the foundations. This will ensure everything is aligned. If you get the objects must be aligned error, you can try rotating the flooring 90 degrees and nudging it back in place to see if it turns green. Sometimes you may need to rotate it twice to 180 degrees. If things still aren't lining up, you can try adding some additional weight to the dynamic rig, as this will sometimes cause it to shift. Lastly, you may have to start over and move your foundation template over 1 or 2 studs so the alignment is different. With your Brute Trophy trifecta together, you can decorate it as you like. Add some lights and decorations to spice it up, and be sure to tag me in your TikToks. I'm sure some of you will find some tips and tricks to make it easier, so be sure to leave them in the comments to help others out. Thanks a lot for taking the time to watch my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I've earned your like and subscription. If you're feeling overly generous, you can use my creator code in the item shop when you're making a purchase. Good luck. I hope you're still sane by the time you complete this build, or you can forgive me if you're not.